Good Yontif, everyone. If you take your hand and put it right above your upper lip, yet not quite upon your nose, you'll find this little groove, this little dip, which is called the philtrum. The Greeks named it this. They called it the love charm because they felt that its symmetry enhanced a person's physical beauty. In our own tradition in Judaism, there is a teaching from Midrash Tanchuma, which links this little wrinkle on your face to the human soul, infinite wisdom, and the very creation of the world. Rabbi Yochanan tells the tale, it is on the 6th day of creation that God made the soul of every single human being that would ever be born. And the Holy One placed them into Gan Eden, the Garden of Eden. And there they have been, and there they wait. And at the moment when God pens the name of a child into the book of life, God then sends the angel, who is guardian of all spirits, to venture into Gan Eden, that it may fetch that soul, and it will stand before the Almighty. Midrash explains that these unborn souls do not want to leave paradise. They do not want to leave Gan Eden and come into our flawed, broken world. They beg, they plead with God to be allowed not to be born. And to coax them into creation, God and the angels spend time with these unborn souls, showing them the mysteries of the world and teaching them the entirety of the Torah. Every letter, every line, every dot, and every tittle. Some versions of this story then say that as a child comes into the world, before the very first breath, the angel places a finger right here upon the upper lip, and with that simple shushing motion, all the divine secrets and all of the Torah that we learned before birth is forgotten. And that is why children come into the world crying. Life begins, and from that day, we are left with this little indent of where once we were touched by the divine. It's a beautiful story. It's a challenging story. The Midrash does not match our usual understanding as Jews of the nature of souls or the learning of Torah. And here, when I speak of the soul, I'm not speaking about the animating life force, the ruach of a human being. That unique spark, that comes from beyond us, and it returns beyond us. It is known and made only by God. This morning, when I speak about the soul, I am speaking about something which might best be described as spiritual identity. It too is something ephemeral, something influenced and nurtured by tradition, experience, religious practice, and knowledge, such as the learning of Torah. This is the sort of thing a person cultivates, develops, makes for themselves, and it cannot come to us fully formed. It is forged over the course of a lifetime. Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi Zichrono Livracha regularly emphasized the self-driven nature of making one's soul, how hard we have to work for it. He recalled bringing some of his students to meet with the Lubavitcher Rebbe. And one student, to the chagrin of Rav Zalman, asked the Rebbe, "What's a Rebbe for?" And to this he replied, "A Rebbe is the geologist of the soul. The world is filled with wonderful treasures, jewels, minerals, riches, mysteries, but if you go digging, all most folks will find is dirt and mud. But a Rebbe can tell you where to dig. But the digging you must do yourself." If I asked you this morning to think about where and when you made your soul, some of you might not yet have a response, while others would have an easy answer. For generations now, many of our children would say, camp. Camp is where they learn to fully inhabit their spiritual identity, singing Hebrew songs at the top of their lungs, dressing up in their best to greet the Shabbos queen, screaming Birkat Hamazon at the top of their lungs in the Heder Ochel, and dancing on a Friday night with such unmatched joy that all-consuming teenage self-consciousness actually gets erased. Those unforgettable Jewish summer camp experiences are unmistakably soul formative. And some might say that they made their soul during their time on campus, or on a gap year in Israel, or a semester far away in the world, that it was away from home, away from routine that you know so intimately, that they figured out who this inner voice was demanding that they be. Whether that was by introducing new observances, new to them but ancient to us, or by guarding family traditions that shaped who they are and turning them to make them their own. Souls are often made when we step into the unknown. And sometimes the opposite is true. Some of you gathered here today in this historic sanctuary are in the very room where you made your soul. It is here, at this synagogue, where the voices of generations past, present, future, they speak to you. You gaze past me towards the marble bima, towards our Aron HaKodesh. You look behind you, upwards towards that iconic rose window. You remember the rabbis. You remember the cantor who shaped your life. The parents, the grandparents, the families whose voice you still carry. Your tradition, it comes from here. Your spiritual identity was nurtured here, and when you cross the threshold into this synagogue, into this sanctuary, something within you stirs. And when you leave, something of us goes with you. There are more unusual places for a soul to be made than synagogue, such as the great Talmudic sage, Rabbi Akiva. He made his soul at the age of 40, standing at a well, watching water drops erode the hardest stone. In our own era, Rabbi Alan Liu, Alev HaShalom, made his soul in a California monastery where he was preparing to take oaths as a Buddhist monk. Josh A., whose story was shared with the world in Rabbi Miriam Turlin-Champ's podcast, Tales of the Unbound, made his soul while serving a life sentence without parole in American prison. Author and Obama speechwriter Sarah Horowitz details the making of her soul after a lifetime of Jewish apathy in her best-selling book, Here All Along. And this may surprise you, this may shock you, but many people made their souls in the early hours and on the days and months that followed from October 7th. Let me tell you something astounding. Since January of last year, our entire rabbinic team is working with more students for conversion than ever before. It is one of the great honors to serve with my colleagues on the Beit Din, the rabbinic court here in Toronto. And among the various duties of the Beit Din is to receive the students who are ready to finish their conversion. There is a Baba Maisa, a tall tale about what the rabbi does when someone comes before them and says, I want to join the Jewish people. They must be told no 3 times to test their sincerity. The number of folks who come into my office and have read something like this, who are ready for rejection, astronomical. In reality, what the Shulchan Aruch, what the Code of Jewish Law states, is turn to them and say, do you not know that at this very time the people of Israel are oppressed, reduced, pained, suffering? And if they turn to you and say, I know, but still, I would be part of you, receive them. Receive them immediately. I believe that this is an important conversation to have. And therefore, I always ask the students something along those well-trod lines. Do you not know that it's hard to be a Jew right now in Canada? That the anti-Semitism we face in Toronto is cruel and real? That we are mourning? That we are still hurting? Why make this choice? Why not walk away? Why not choose a safer life? Why not make an easier life? And here are some of the most recent answers I've heard. Yes, I know, and it scares me, but it doesn't change my choice. This is where I need to be, says one. That's part of why I'm here, says the next, because I see a terrible injustice going on in Canada, and I want to stand on the right side of history. Tears welling up, a young person says, I love a Jew. I'm already in this with you. And bristling, full mama bear energy rising, another replies, my family is Jewish. Do you think I would abandon them? Those were the people who came to us on October 8th. Those were the answers of the students who came to us in the winter of 2023, the early days of 2024. They are the ones who saw this dreadful war, who witnessed this terrible rise in hatred, and yet still, in the truest spirit of the law, emphatically said, I would still be part of you. And today, this Rosh Hashanah, it is the first for those students. Their first new year as full members of our Jewish people. They are here in this sanctuary. They are downstairs with their children. They are planning to rush home and get to a festive breakfast as soon as they can. They are anticipating Yom Kippur. On this first day of our Jewish year, the truth is, they are not they at all. They are us. For these are the souls we made on October 7th. But not only this cohort, not only them, the souls we made on October 7th are not limited to those who chose Judaism from scratch over the last few years. The souls we made on October 7th include those who were born into our community and have now reaffirmed that this people, this place is vital to them, is central to them. Perhaps you have heard about this phenomena. Perhaps you are part of this phenomena, which some are calling the surge, a massive uptick in attendance and participation within the Jewish community. And 2 years after it began, here at Holy Blossom, this surge has not faded away. But not everyone is impressed. Not everyone is impressed with this continued energy for the Jewish people. Critical voices say the reason why this surge has not stilled is because we're still in the middle of it. We're still knee-deep in the suffering and the trauma. We're still fighting the normalization of Jew hatred all over the world. Once this spike in hatred is over, they argue, the surge of Yiddishkeit, that'll end too. And other negative voices say, what good is a spiritual identity? How strong, how healthy can a soul be if its formative moment was made from fear, loss, pain? Yeah, synagogue membership may be up. Sure, day schools have had a waiting list since October 7th, but is that even a good thing? Is that the Jewish future that we want? One that is built from circled wagons, from turning inward, instead of Ahavat Yisrael being Or LaGoyim? I couldn't disagree more. I couldn't disagree more with these negative voices. Yes, there is no doubt that the catalyst for this surge came from darkness, but the community that it has built, that is a community that dwells outside of that darkness. They are not in the darkness. They are cultivating pride and joy and love. Let me share with you two brief stories about this light I've seen. The first comes from standing in the parking lot on a frosty winter afternoon outside the Jewish day school where my daughter goes. I'm chatting with another kindergartner's dad, waiting for the kids to come out. We don't know each other, not really, not well, but we're friendly. Friendly in the way that people waiting for their kids are. So that afternoon, he decides to share something. You're a rabbi. You probably always planned on sending your kid to day school. But my wife and I, we only made this choice because of how bad things are. But you know what? My heart melts when my son comes home and he's singing a little song about the holidays. And we go to his Zetas on Friday, and now he gets excited and he wants to help with the Kiddush. My dad actually cried the first time that here they come. Hey, buddy. No? The first time he what? Finish the story. Tell me the rest of the story. But I know what he means. I know. I know in the song of that child, in that Zeta's proud tears, I know those are souls we made. The second is from a conversation I had just a few weeks ago who is someone who is 100% a part of this surge. They arrived in the early months of 2024, and for more than a year now, they've been a Shabbat regular and a fixture of our Young Professionals program. We're at a Havdalah. We're waiting for food to come off the grill. We're making casual chit-chat. And I felt something stir in my core, this deep affection that I have developed for this person after more than a year that I've come to really care about. And you know when you're really touched, how sometimes your eloquence can just completely leave you in that moment. So I turned to them and I said, you know, I'm really fond of you. And we laughed together at the awkwardness of it. Wow, Rabbi, really strong words. And then from them, total sincerity. Thank you for this place. I didn't know I needed it. I spent a lot of time thinking I didn't need it. But I do. Do I even need to tell you? That's a soul we made. There are more stories like that. I hear them from my colleagues. I see them in our brides, in our grooms, in our teens, in our kids, in our new families, and all the good people who have come back to us, the people who found us for the very first time. They're stunned, they're surprised, they're delighted that something good is going on here, that something moves them here. They come for all sorts of reasons. They come from fear or anxiety or loneliness. They come because they miss the voice of tradition. They come because they want to lift up a simcha. They come looking for solidarity. they don't just find a place to be safe. They find this place which is filled with joy. With joy. As the new year arrives, we, as our ancestors have done for untold generations, are turning and returning. And our Midrash, too, with the souls, the angel, that little mark upon your lip, it too imagines a return. The slow, gradual return towards Gan Eden, that journey that takes exactly the number of days in a lifetime. A return to our Torah, regained and unlocked after a life well lived. A return, as we often say this time of year, to the land of the soul. Each Rosh Hashanah is a signpost and a stop along the way. May this year be a good year for us. May it bring us peace and joy. May it bring us hope. May we continue to connect and be amazed at what we find, to bond, to forge, to do the digging ourselves. And may this new year bring us back here, back to this synagogue, home to our people. For we are a people, and this is a place that makes souls. Shana Tova Umetuka, a sweet and happy new year for us all.